This is Ari Lehman, the first Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, and you're watching Groovey.TV. Jason never dies.
Sweet. Hey, this is Groovey. I'm here with Ari Lehman here at the Alamo Draft House, Denver, Colorado, for the Mile High Horror Film Festival. How the heck are you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. Groovy, it's always a wonderful time when you come to Denver. You know, I live in Chicago, which is a great town too.
I love Chicago.
You come to Denver and you just got that mile-high city vibe with the beautiful sunshine and beautiful kind of fresh air and just the people here. The mood is just fantastic. You know, they're so enthusiastic and they're so wonderful and just sweet, kind people. And of course, the Alamo Draft House. You know, this is the third Alamo Draft House that myself, the first Jason Voorhees, and my band, First Jason, have had the opportunity to perform in.
That's cool.
The first ever one is in Kalamazoo, Michigan, believe it or not. You know, I just want to get that word Kalamazoo into the interview.
It's a fun one to say.
Oh my God. And the one in Kalamazoo is a blast, and the people there are also wonderful. And then we had the great opportunity. They did a screening and again a concert in-house, just like we're doing here. But this was at the Houston Alamo Draft House. And, you know, I'm just glad that the people at the Mile High Horror Film Festival invited me to be a part of this because it's an honor and a pleasure and just a great deal of fun.
And you get to do it on multiple levels, as an actor, as a musician, as a fan probably even.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, Groovy. That's a good point. I mean, to speak to your last point first, as a fan, I got to sit and talk to the great Ron Chaney in the green room. And, you know, I happen to be a huge fan of his grandfather and his father's work. And, you know, I love Phantom of the Opera. Right. So we were talking about, you know, I'm like, you know, the 1925 version is better than the 1929 version. And he said, you're so right because of this and this and this and all this stuff I didn't know. So, and here's the face of, and you can
actually see it in the,
oh my God, it was surreal.
Yeah.
And, you know, as a real genuine horror fan now, that really just kind of gave me goosebumps. So, you know.
That is so cool.
But, you know, of course, meeting the fans, the people, the fans of Jason Voorhees are the most dedicated and the most wonderful. And I was sitting next to the great Kane Hodder, who's like, you know, the most Jason. If I'm the first, he's the most, or maybe the best, as many would argue. And I would too. And I think that he's always so much fun to be around, and the way he interacts with his fans is just so classic. And I'm just very, very, I mean, I got to admit, I'm very proud to be a part of that family. And then, you know, so because of that feeling and because of the welcome and because of maybe my own sense of pride, you know, I want to offer the most that I can to an event, to any event. And the best thing that I can do, you know, I'm a passable actor, stunt man. I mean, I can do some very presentational roles. Like I just played a principal in a movie called Pie Day, Die Day. And I played I love it. A bartender in a movie called Camp Killer. And you know, I played a video jockey in a movie called, what was that? That's The Barn. The Barn, which is actually a really fantastic movie. Okay. But, you know, and I think I do well there. You know, I would, you know, give me good. But if I really wanted to say what is the best thing I do, it's playing music. And, you know, I have a band called First Jason.
Which I love. I love your tunes. They're so good. 2
of our CDs here. Well, yeah, speaking to the music, you know, you got songs that are like Jason Never Dies, Jason Is Watching, Machete Is My Friend, Sink or Swim. And you know what? I play a guitar that's on a giant machete. This giant machete was actually made just for the Mile High Horror Film Festival 2015 because I couldn't bring mine on the plane, of course. And this one, okay, right here, was made by Ron Crawford, who's a local woodworker artist. You know, he does those spectacular barrel tops.
Yeah.
And, you know.
He was actually running around here yesterday.
Sure was. He dropped it off. But, yeah, that's the guitar. And so he, you know, I'm just so happy that he did that.
Do the 3D picture of death towards the picture, so the camera, so people can actually see it.
Oh, yeah. 3D picture of death. 3D picture of death.
Perfect.
But, So no, but doing, as you can imagine, that's where I was given a scholarship to Berklee School of Music by the great jazz educator Dr. Billy Taylor, and I studied under some of the greatest, Joanne Brackeen and Jim McNeely, some of the best piano players, and really became a jazz piano player in New York City during like the later 80s and early 90s. Okay. Then I moved on to reggae and world music, and then finally somehow really found my sound and my groove on the metal and punk scene, but not playing really punk metal. My music, it's kind of across the board.
Yeah, how would you describe it, actually? Because it's pretty unique.
Well, thank you. I think, we make use of the textures of metal, we make use of the textures of punk, but it's also informed by funk, reggae, all kinds of blues, all these kinds of styles. Of course, just good old rock and roll, funky rock, Yep. And now, okay, so the first two records kind of dwelled more in the punk metal thing. So the next record, we're going for a much more straight-ahead, like funk rock sound.
Oh, cool.
And we've already got a bunch of songs written for that, and we have a new guitar player now, too. So the future is bright for First Jason. We really urge everybody to come visit us at firstjason.com, or go online, go to YouTube, look up First Jason. Or on Facebook, it's First Jason Official. But on YouTube, we have some cool videos. There's one called Victim, where Jason kills an army of zombies. And all of those zombies are actually fans of First Jason who helped to fund the video. Here, you guys pay us and we'll have Jason kill you on screen. It's great. But they loved it. And then the more recent one we filmed at the Bartonville State Asylum, which is actually here. This Victorian asylum which was abandoned in the 50s, and it's it's totally
3D picture of doom.
No, yeah, it totally needs that 3D picture of doom, 3D picture of doom, 3D picture of doom. But it's like this asylum was abandoned in the 50s, and it's full of ghosts. I mean, we were up there filming the video, and we had these big guys from the south side of Chicago helping us, filming, and they're like, okay, I'm seeing something. What is that? Ari, can you get us out of here? I'm like, Joe, you got to set up the shot over there for me. He's like, can you come with me? It's like these big guys that I just thought it was hilarious. But
so what's coming up next for First Jason?
Well, First Jason, of course, October is here, so it's Haunted House Month, and we're going to be at Jason's Woods in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We're going to be down at Atrox Factory in near Birmingham, Alabama. Okay. And also, I'm doing for Halloween, we're at IFCon in Victoria, Canada, which is right near Vancouver. So yeah, it's just that's the main thing, getting that done, and then completing this new album. Which I don't know. It had the working title American Original. We're trying to kind of talk about the experience that we had performing around the country, and because it's such an honor, we get to play all over the place. Like there's this line at the beginning of Friday the 13th where Annie, if you remember Annie, she comes to the little town, of Crystal Lake, and she pets the little dog, and she's so nice and wholesome and wonderful. And then she gets this ride from this salt of the earth truck driver, and he's kind of pushes her tush a little bit as she gets in there, but she's okay with it, and she's still all right. And then he says to her something, those kids, your heads are full of rocks, like my nieces. You should just quit that job. And he says all this stuff about the fires and the murders, and she's like, well, you're just an American original, with this like wise ass line that just comes out of nowhere, And I'm like, so I always thought that was like this breaking point where it was like, okay, now she must be murdered. She's insulting this nice salt of the earth truck driver guy. But anyway, so we're thinking about that. The only thing that might deter that is there's a lot of American this, American that, but we'll see. We're looking for the release time. Okay, and this might be another topic you want to talk about, which is that there's going to be a new Friday the 13th coming up next year.
That's awesome.
May 13th of 2016. So we're going to release the album then too, but David Bruckner, who is directing that film, had the decency to send me a Facebook message saying that he intends to honor the legacy that I feel of the film that I feel honored to have been in. So that they're going to honor that legacy, and they're going to touch upon the story of Mom. But he said they're not going to. It's not going to be overweighted with, backstory. It's not about that. It's
going to be another origin thing.
No. But it'll make certain things clear while leaving some mystery, because horror always needs a great mystery. I think that the first Friday the 13th really benefits from the fact that we don't know who the killer is at the outset of the film, and it turns out to be this wonderful little old lady who says, "I'm not afraid," and Betsy Palmer.
I do have one question for you.
Okay.
Day of shooting. How gnarly was this? It had to be gnarly.
You mean gnarly like
being in
like
being in the water and
I have to admit, although quite often, Groovy, people do sort of, I don't know, want to say, was it tough? Was it difficult? And I don't want to say, no, it wasn't difficult and play it off like that. But as a kid, I was 14 years old, and even the day of the shooting of this, now let's remember, and here gives you some insight. This was August of 1979. Okay. So it was a beautiful day. Now, as a kid, I grew up at the Long Island Sound. I was swimming every day. Okay. So I love swimming, even in the coldest water. Okay. Now, it turns out that this pond, and this is a huge bit of trivia, this pond called Crystal Lake was actually called Sand Pond. And when it was found by the early pioneers in New Jersey, they said, "Oh my God, look at this perfect sand." And it was so nice sand that they made glass out of it. Oh, wow. And one of America's first glass factories was located there. So it has a sandy bottom. It was very pleasant. It was, I have to admit, it wasn't that gnarly, But I did say to Sean Cunningham, "Can I wear sneakers while I do the shoot?" I said, "May I please wear some sneakers?" And he said, "Fine." But in the end, I really didn't need to. But see, now this shot where we did this scene, okay? Here's a huge piece of information. This was not shot until October of 1979. Okay. Because they thought, okay, that was going to be the only role I was going to play was the drowning child. He wasn't a very good swimmer. And today is his birthday. Killer mommy, and that was it. Okay. But when they saw the movie Carrie, Sean Cunningham, Tom Savini, Victor Miller, they said, "You know what? We want a jump scare. How can we do a jump scare?" Now, between the three of those great gentlemen, I cannot determine who actually wrote this jump scare, because I've talked to each one of them, and they all claim to have written it. But the fact is, the idea of Jason coming back out of the water, now slime encrusted, after 11 years. Now, there was a debate. They handed me the script. It said, "Alice's dream." I said, "Alice's dream? This isn't a dream." He comes back. She cut off my mother's head. I am coming back for revenge. And, Savini took me aside. He said, "Ari, calm down. Okay, look. You're underwater for 11 years. This is like reverse Psycho. You're a ghost." I said, "No." I said, "Have you read comic books? Like Swamp Thing? Yeah. Hello? Have you read, X-Men? Have you read anything about, mutant transformations? Yeah. In my mind, the head comes off, the drop of blood hits the water, and boom, she's in the underworld now, calling out to him, and he comes back, reanimated, if you will, a vengeance ghost, perhaps a zombie, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. In my eyes, it was clear. So Tom, being a brilliant dude and a Renaissance man. Now, Sean Cunningham, we weren't going to ruffle his feathers, the director. We weren't going to go over and tell him anything, because we basically want to comply with his program. But Savini said to me, "Ari, you know what? I like the energy. Go with the idea, because if you were a ghost in a dream, then you would have conviction that that's who you were." So when I came out of the water the first time, I came out with this vehemence and anger. So she fell clear out of the boat. She fell out of the boat. So this is the sequence of the second take, okay? And it was autumn, as you can see.
Oh, yeah.
But you can see she's a great actress, because she had already known that I was jumping and, But the first time she saw this, man, she just was, because we didn't let her see the mask until that denouement, until that final moment. So yeah, that's you know, and it wasn't. It was cold the second time, I guess. You know, she always says it was terribly cold, but I guess being 14 years old, you know,
Oh yeah, you can handle anything at 14.
But so that's the truth, man. The truth is that it was a lot of fun for me. But you know, I could make up a story like, oh man, it was terrible. You know, the makeup made it so that I had to get in and out of the water fast.
Oh, okay.
Because it wasn't going to last long in the water. And we basically had planned it like, I guess almost like a practical joke or something where it was like, boom, something that was going to just happen once. And if it didn't work, you know, well, we blew it, you know. Because you got basically one chance to do this, you know. And I think,
so awesome.
and every film that I've been in since then, you know, little independent horror films like these ones I mentioned, but I noticed that in a death scene, in a kill scene, truthfully, you really just have one chance. Because if you try that kill scene and it doesn't work the first time, you can try it all day. You better just come back and shoot it tomorrow because, you know, oh, let's get rid of the blood and the this and the that and the guy is the schmutzed up and it's like, no, it's great. He's got to go from looking perfect to looking horrible. Boom. And that's, you know, that's a trick. It's a magic trick. But if everybody does it right and cooperates together,
Right.
it can be fantastic. And being on the set there, it was, wow, it was magic.
So cool, and it's such an honor, man. Thank you
too.
so much for your time,
Thank you
man.
for letting me go on. And remember, Jason never dies.
Bye.
You see, you get me started talking.
That's perfect, man. Thank you.
Oh, good.
Totally.
Hope I didn't.
How we doing on that?